Hey, what's going on everybody? Commander Crane here, and we are back with another video. So today we're going to be talking about the Phyrexia All Will Be One leaks. So just as a quick disclaimer, obviously we're going to be talking about leaks here, so if you are not interested in seeing any of the leaks, I highly would advise not watching this video, but if you like leaks like I do, then obviously you're going to greatly enjoy the video. So just a little bit of backstory. So there's been some leaks coming out over the last week. I would say there was like 2 big batches. The cards seem very credible. They look very real, I would say. I don't think they're fake at all. They're very interesting. Once again, if you're not interested in seeing leaks, I would not watch this video, but we're going to hop into it here. So we're going to be talking about, obviously I'm going to show all the cards, and then, well, all the rares and mythics, I should say. There's some random commons and uncommons I left out, but I'm going to be I'm going to be reading the card, and then I'm going to give my opinion on, you know, what it would see play in, like different formats, that kind of thing. So we're going to hop right into it here. So our first one we're going to be talking about, I'm very excited about, is the fast lands. So for those who haven't watched that video, I did a video on things I want to see for Pioneer in 2023, and one of my biggest, I think my first thing actually, was the fast lands, and we are getting them back. So we don't have Dark Slick Shores on here because it has not been leaked or revealed yet, so I don't have an official picture, but it is the blue-black one. But we are getting Razor Verge Thicket, Copperline Gorge, Sea Chrome Coast, and Black Leaves Cliffs. For those who don't know, the fast lands enter the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. So it's kind of similar to like the D&D lands, except it can come on untapped on turn 3. So I'm very, very excited that these are finally coming to Pioneer and finally getting a reprint. Some of them are kind of outrageously expensive. I actually purchased my playset the other day as soon as I saw these spoilers of the Copperline Gorges. I'm very excited. These are going to be they're going to be great in Pioneer. They're going to be great in Standard. They're just going to be great in everything. Honestly, they're probably pretty solid in Commander. Maybe some better options technically, but overall, I'm very excited. These are finally coming back. So, our next card here, a little less exciting, Soulless Jailer, a 0/4 for 2 colorless artifact Phyrexian Golem. Permanent cards in graveyards can't enter the battlefield. Players can't cast non-creature spells from graveyards or exile. This is it's a very unique card. They make cards that are like, you know, technically, oh, you can't cast stuff in the graveyard, like, you know, like Grafdigger's Cage, but like an 0/4 for 2 and that has those abilities is very unique. Will it see play? I'm sure probably some random, you know, Commander decks probably would want it, like most of the cards that we're going to talk about. At least I don't think Modern's not going to want an effect like this. If Pioneer does, it would be a Karn target, but technically they don't want it. Well, maybe they would want it. Can't permanent cards in graveyard can't enter the battlefield. Maybe they would as a Karn target, but I'm not sure though. Let me know in the comments what you think about this card. It could be okay, but I'm not entirely sure on that. Our next card, the Filigree Silex, 2-mana legendary artifact. Tap, put an oil counter on the Filigree Silex. Tap, sacrifice the Filigree Silex, destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of oil counters on the Filigree Silex. Tap, remove 10 oil counters from among permanents you control and sacrifice the Filigree Silex. It deals 10 damage to any target. So, for those, I wish I would have put an image of it on here. For those who don't know, this is essentially like Ratchet Bomb. Ratchet Bomb has essentially tap, put a charge counter on, tap, sacrifice, destroy each non-land permanent with CMC equal to the number of charge counters. It's essentially a Ratchet Bomb, but then it gets this special fancy, you know, ability at the end with the oil counters. Is it technically better than Ratchet Bomb? I would say so. Obviously the Ratchet Bomb, you can't play multiple Filigree Silex on the battlefield. Not that you generally play multiple Ratchet Bombs, but it is technically better than Ratchet Bomb. So we got a better Ratchet Bomb for like Pioneer and technically Modern. But I mean, removing 10 oil counters, like if you're not playing a lot of oil counter synergy, you might as well just play Ratchet Bomb in case you need to play multiples. But I mean, other than that, I mean, if you're playing a lot of oil counter matters stuff like Proliferate, this card's pretty good. I'd play it, you know. But overall, it seems cool. I like it. Hey, it's a Ratchet Bomb. I'm always excited for that. So, Fischl Sun Slayer. 3/3 for green, black, 1. Legendary Phyrexian Zombie Elf. First Strike and Death Touch. That's just a nasty ability. When it deals combat damage to a player, choose 1. You draw a card and you lose 1 life, destroy target enchantment, remove up to 3 counters from target permanent. Just seems good. I mean, it's 3/3 for 3, good stats. First Strike and Death Touch is very, very hard to beat. I mean, if it's attacking or blocking, like it's not going down unless you have First Strike, you know. So I mean, so most of the time you're gonna attack with this because they're not gonna want to block it unless they chump block it, and so it's just draw a card, lose 1 life. Like it seems good. I really like this card. I think it's powerful. I mean, all 3 abilities are relevant. At worst, you're just attacking and then drawing a card and losing a life. Sometimes, you know, counters from target permanent. So, you know, you can, like, get 3 loyalty counters from a Planeswalker. I mean, there's a lot of different options you have there. So, overall, I think it's a good card. I like it. So, next one, a little blurry, is Zuri, Stalker of Spheres. 3/3 for green, blue, and 2. Legendary Phyrexian Elf Warrior. When it enters the battlefield, you may pay 3. If you do proliferate twice, whenever you proliferate, draw a card. Seems fine. I mean, it definitely seems pretty fun in Commander, you know, especially like proliferating twice, drawing 2 cards immediately, and obviously there's like a ton of different proliferate stuff that you can do in Commander, so it seems like a great way to draw a lot of cards. Like, this just seems like a card that, you know, it could be a Commander or it could go in the 99 of like different like Planeswalker builds, that kind of thing. Cool card. I'm not opposed to it. It seems good. For Pioneer, I don't know. There's probably not enough proliferate in Pioneer to make it work. But overall, I think it's a pretty cool card. I like it. Next is Skelv, Defector Might. 1/1 for 1 white. Legendary Phyrexian Might. Toxic 1. Which means players dealt combat damage by this creature also get a poison counter. It can't block. Phyrexian White, tap, choose a color. Another target creature you control gains Toxic 1 and Hexproof from that color until end of turn. It can't be blocked by creatures of that color this turn. Wow. That seems really good. So, yeah, obviously being able to give a creature, you know, hexproof, and it can't be blocked by creatures, so that's like essentially protection, right? I mean, it can't be blocked. I mean, as long as you're attacking, I guess it's like protection if you're attacking, essentially, but it can also just give it hexproof. Obviously the white or the Phyrexian mana, you know, I mean, it's, you know, you have to pay the 1 white to cast it, so you're gonna be a white deck pretty much if you're playing it, but this card just seems really good. I mean, I have to imagine, like, if, like, for Pioneer, I don't know if this would really see play in Pioneer. It has potential, but definitely in Commander, just like, if you're playing a white deck, why wouldn't you play this? Like, this just seems great. I mean, yeah, being able to give it unblockable and hexproof so you can protect it with just your 1/1. Like, I'm on board. It almost kind of reminds me of like Giver of Runes and Mother of Runes. Obviously, it's not as good as those, I would say. It's close, but you know, it seems really good. I'm a big fan of it. So next we have Mirin Safe House, 3-mana artifact. As long as Mirin's Safe House is on the battlefield, it has all activated abilities of all land cards in all graveyards. Interesting. So I guess with this, like, with lands in your graveyard, like, if you're playing like a self-mill strategy, you know, this can put in some work. Obviously, you're gonna have to play a lot of like non-basics in the sense of, you know, take advantage of them. Like if you're playing like Golgari and, you know, I'm trying to think of, man, like what, I mean, like, yeah, it's weird. Like, oh, I have a Cabal Coffers, but you want that in play, not in the graveyard. But I guess if it does hit the graveyard, you could do that. Worst case scenario, if you mill, you know, if you have a land in your graveyard, like a forest, it could tap for a green. It's a mana rock. It's very interesting, though. I don't know how good this card is going to be. I'm sure there's probably decks out there that can definitely take advantage of this. In Commander, Pioneer, I don't see this really seeing play. I mean, you know, even in Modern, if you, I have a fetch land in my graveyard, you could pay 3 mana to sacrifice the artifact and grab a land. I don't know. I don't think it's really good for Pioneer and Modern, but Commander, I'm sure there's definitely things you can do with it. So Tivar Jubilant, I think that's Brawler. It's very, very fuzzy. 1 in green black, 3 mana loyalty, legendary planeswalker Tivar. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. +1, untap up to 1 target creature. -2, mill 3 cards, then you may return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. I don't know why. This just kind of reminds me of like an elf card. I mean, it's cheap. You can activate abilities of creatures you control as though they have haste. Untap up to 1 target creature. That just has like elf vibes to it. I believe Tivar definitely had a card at one point, I'm pretty sure. And I'm pretty sure it was an elf. So that makes sense, you know, and then mana value 2 or less. There's a ton of elves that are that cheap. This just seems like a great elf card in general. I mean, it's... Yeah, I think this card's great. I think it's an elf card. So, no, overall, seems good. 3 mana planeswalkers are generally pretty solid, so, and this is no exception. Kaya, Intangible Slayer, legendary planeswalker Kaya. 3 white, black, 6 loyalty, hexproof. I believe that's our first hexproof commander we've ever, or not commander, planeswalker we've ever had. Very cool. +2, each opponent loses 3 life and you gain 3 life. Okay. 0, you draw 2 cards, then each opponent may scry 1? What? Okay. That's pretty solid in white-black. -3, exile target creature or enchantment. If it was an aura, create a token that's a copy of it, except it's a 1/1 spirit with flying in addition to its other type. Sorry, it's extremely blurry, but wow, that seems really good. Wow, okay. I mean, it's a 7 mana walker, so obviously it has to have powerful abilities. What deck would want this? I couldn't tell you. In Commander, obviously, I keep saying in Commander. I feel like that should just be assumed at this point, but obviously you can make this work in Commander. You know, especially even if you're in a group game, +2, you know, 3, 6, 9, 12, I gain 3, like, you know, being able to like have a big damage swing, like that's cool. You get to draw cards with it as a 0, like, okay. And then, you know, exile a target creature enchantment, and if it's an aura, you get a copy. I mean, yeah, like, it seems pretty good. And it's hexproof, so, you know, like, no one's going to be playing any targeted removal against this thing. It's going to have to die through combat, essentially. Like, that's how this card's going to die. So, no, seems good. Also worth noting, Kaya does not appear to be completed. So, good news for Kaya, I suppose. All right, so Malkator, Purity Overseer. It's a 1/1 for blue, white, and 1. Legendary Phyrexian Elephant Wizard. Okay, yeah. When it enters the battlefield, create a 3/3 colors Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. At the beginning of your end step, if 3 or more artifacts entered the battlefield under your control this turn, create a 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creature token. That seems pretty cool. I mean, it's worse. It's a 1/1 that gets a 3/3. You know, and then it can get more 3/3s. That seems pretty cool. I think it's a pretty cool card. What would this see play? I'm not sure. Obviously, probably a lot of, obviously, artifact matters, you know, like multiple, like treasures, you know, which is really great with that. That kind of thing. This card could be pretty cool. It just seems like a good value card. I mean, you know, if you're, you know, playing a 1/1, makes a 3/3, and then like every other end step, you know, you're giving yourself another 3/3 golem. Like, that's probably good enough, I have to imagine. Especially, you know, you can blink it. Blue-white is great for blinking. So, you know, you play it, blink it, get another 3/3. Like, that just seems good. And then if it's 3, so, like, if you played an artifact, if you, like, played another artifact, and then you, like, blink it, get another one, end step, get another 3/3, that's probably pretty good. So, yeah, overall, I think the card's cool. And it's an elephant. We love elephants. So, next card, Encroaching Mycosynth. 3 and a blue artifact. Non-land permanents you control are artifacts in addition to their other types. The same is true for permanent spells you control and non-land permanent cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So everything is an artifact. Reminds me of Painter's Servant, because Painter's Servant's the artifact creature, and you name a color, and everything's that color. This is kind of the same thing, except everything's an artifact, even when it's on the stack, when it's in your hand. So that's pretty cool, honestly. There's 1,000 decks that could take advantage of this. I mean, pretty much any artifact deck wants to do this. That's artifact matters. Obviously, it doesn't turn your opponent's stuff into artifacts, but it turns all your stuff, which can technically have a downside, but no, there's definitely a lot of things you can do that could take advantage of this card. So overall, I think it's a pretty cool card. Bloated Contaminator, 4/4 for green and 2. That's what I like to hear. Trample and Toxic 1, so players dealt combat damage by this creature also get a poison counter. Whenever Bloated Companion deals combat damage to a player, proliferate. So this card reminds me of just, like, Wizards of the Coast for the last couple of years has been making a lot of green 4/4s for 3 with good abilities. Like, I feel like the first one they did was, like, Old Growth Troll. And then they're doing, like, even just 3 jobs in general, not even 3/4s. Like, they did, yeah, Old Growth Troll. And then they did, like, Cemetery Prowler. And then there's another one I feel terrible that I can't think of all of a sudden. And then they're just, you know, like, they're just pumping out more of them. So at this point, in Pioneer, whatever green 3-drop you want to play, you have 1,000 options, which this one is probably one to consider. You know, being able to proliferate is pretty good. At least in the decks that I play, you know, like proliferating, like worst case scenario, like you attack with it, deal damage, and you put a counter on your Vivian Arcbow Ranger or your Domri. You know, like just, it seems free. I think it's cool. You're never going to kill anybody but the toxic part of it, really. But, I mean, being able to proliferate, that seems kind of cool. Is it better than Old Growth Troll? No, I don't think so. Is it better than Steel Leaf Champion? I don't think so. Is it better than Cemetery Prowler? I don't think so. But, I mean, it seems like a cool card. I like it overall. Is it better? I don't know. Standard seems super playable in Standard, though. I mean, I'd play it Standard for sure. Next card. Rhea Evor, Bane of Bladehold. 2 white-black, legendary Phyrexian Knight with Battlecry. Whenever this creature attacks, each other attacking creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. Looks like Battlecry's back. That's actually really cool. At the beginning of combat on your turn, the next time target creature would deal combat damage to one or more players this combat, prevent that damage. At the beginning of combat, target creature would deal combat damage. At the beginning of combat on your turn, next time target creature to one or more players to prevent that damage. If damage is prevented this way, create that many 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. Okay. I gotta read this card again. Combat on your turn. The next time target creature would deal combat damage to one or more players this combat, prevent that damage. Oh, okay. On combat on your turn. So instead of like one of your creatures dealing combat damage, you can prevent it and get a bunch of 1/1s with Toxic 1. Okay, interesting. I was trying to read it if it did it to your opponents, but okay. So, it seems cool. If damage is prevented this way, huh? That's a very interesting card. Would you want this in? I'm not sure. But it seems cool. I mean, you know, it's cool. I don't know what I'd see playing, but all right. So next card, Monument to Perfection. 2-mana artifact. Tap 3 and tap. Search your library for a basic sphere or locust land. Reveal it. Put it into your hand, then shuffle. Tap 3. Monument to Perfection becomes a 9/9 Phyrexian construct artifact creature. Loses all abilities and gains indestructible and toxic 9. Activate only if there are 9 or more lands with different names among the basic, sphere, and locust lands you control. So, yeah. One new land type, Spear, in Locust is returning. Which I have those in separate slides that we're going to see later on. I believe actually the Locusts are next, or the Spears, but we will be seeing them because there's a couple in this set that they've already shown off. And then the 9/9, like, that's just cool. What you'd want this in, like, if you're playing like, if you're playing like a Sphere Locust deck, this is like, you need to play this card, and you know, like if that's what you're doing, you need it. But yeah, and then the 3-mana, like, that's just cool. You know, in Commander, it's very possible. If you're playing like a 2/3 color deck and you've got like, You know, like technically it's different names. So if you had like, so let's say you're playing like Gruul, you have like forest, mountain, snow-covered forest, snow-covered mountain, a cloud post, a couple spheres. Like, I don't know, it's possible when the basic sphere and locust land. So yeah, it's not even like you can play like gates or just regular tap lands. Like, you specifically need those. So it's cool. I mean, you know, seems like a cool card. It's very interesting. I don't think they don't really print cards like this that much. So it's pretty cool. Yes, I was right. Okay, so we have the sphere lands next. So the Monumental Facade, it's a sphere. The Monumental Facade enters the battlefield with 2 oil counters on it. Tap to add 1 colorless. Tap, remove an oil counter from the Monumental Facade. Put an oil counter on target artifact or creature you control. Yeah, that seems good. I mean, it's a colorless land. Obviously, if you're, you know, there's a ton of like oil counter matters in this set. It's a slam dunk if you're playing those. And we have Mirix, just Mirix. It's a sphere. Tap for a colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color. Activate only if Mirix entered the battlefield this turn. Okay, that seems kind of cool. 3 and tap, create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. Monumental Facade seems good in if you're playing like the oil counter matters. Mirix, that card just seems good. I mean, you know, being like, it's like it reminds me of like Crumbling Vestige, where when it enters, you make 1 mana of any color. But then just tapping 3 and making a 1/1, like, obviously it can't block, but like, just tapping 3 and making a 1/1. That card just seems pretty solid overall. I mean, they both seem cool. Spear, new land type, obviously. This cool additions. I like it. Colorless lands. You know, I like being able to, like, in like Pioneer and Modern, having the option to like play like flex colorless lands. I don't think you do either of these, but like, it's cool. More options. I love it. Next we have Vindictive Flame Stoker. It's a 1/2 for 1 red Phyrexian Wizard. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. 6 and a red, sacrifice it, discard your hand, then draw 4 cards. This ability costs 1 less to cast, 1 less to activate for each. Oh my goodness, excuse me. This ability costs 1 less to activate for each oil counter on Vindictive Flame Stoker. Interesting. So, Wizard, relevant creature type, especially for Spellslinger decks. Casting a bunch of non-creatures and sack it and drawing 4 cards. I mean, you discard your hand, but that seems powerful. I'm sure some deck in Pioneer, I can see this almost being good in like the Wizard tribal, like the blue-red, like Wizard Delver kind of deck. That could be pretty cool. I'm sure this could probably take advantage of that. But it seems good. If you're playing a red Spellslinger deck, this seems like a slam dunk. You know, if you play, you know, and it's also non-creature. It's not just instant sorcery. It's instant, sorcery, artifact, enchantment, planeswalker, whatever. So I like it. I think this card seems pretty good. You know, being able to, you know, especially even if you like cast 4 non-creature spells, you know, paying, you know, 3 mana and drawing 4 seems great. And it's also, you can activate the instant speed. So, and if you play multiples, what's also really cool about this is, like, let's say you get it to 2 mana, you can go 2 mana, sacrifice it, discard and draw 4 cards, holding priority, activate the second one, so then you just get 8 cards. So, yeah, I think this card's pretty cool. It has potential in Pioneer. It really does. I think so. Next, Mind Splice Apparatus. 3 and a blue artifact, flash. At the beginning of your upkeep, put an oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus. Instant and sorcery spells you cast cost 1 less to cast for each oil counter on Mind Splice Apparatus? Wow, this card seems really good. Oh my goodness. Would you play this? I mean, wow, jeez. Artifact decks, they want it. Spellslinger decks, they want it. Pioneer, something could play this in Pioneer. I mean, like, oh, it's 4 mana, but it's flash. I mean, like, I imagine like a control deck, even just like, you know, like holding up 4 mana for like counters, you know, like you're ready for it. And your opponent maybe plays around it, like pass. All right, end step, Mind Splice, upkeep, trigger, you know, get a counter. And that just seems really good. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. I like it. It just seems powerful. Like, this is gonna be one of those cards. in Phyrexia All is One, like, it's going to be just like that $7-8 rare. You know, like, it's like, you open it, you're happy with it, it's like always good, and then like 5 years down the road, it's going to be like a $15 card because they never reprinted it again or something. Like, that's what this card's going to be. So, seems good. I really like it. Vencer, Corpse Puppet. Wow. For those who know the lore, that's pretty crazy. You know, Vencer was a planeswalker, so now it's a corpse puppet. 1/3 for blue-black. I can't. Is that safe link? That does not say life link. It says AFELINK. That's got to be something like safe link. I don't think that's life link. No. Maybe it's lifelink. I don't know. We'll say lifelink. Lifelink Toxic 1. Whenever you proliferate, choose one. If you don't control a creature named the Hollow Sentinel, create the Hollow Sentinel, a legendary 3/3 colorless Phyrexian golem. Target artifact creature you control gains flying and lifelink. Okay. Seems good. It's a 1/3 for 2 that makes bodies and makes them more relevant. What you play this in, I'm not sure. Obviously, like if you're playing like a mass proliferate deck, the problem is proliferate's not really I mean, it's a blue thing, but it doesn't really seem like a black thing. So, I don't know. It's interesting, but it's cool. R.I.P. Vencer, I guess. You know, used to be cool, blue, white, blinking stuff, but you know, now you're just a Phyrexian zombie wizard. So, good luck to you, I guess. Black Suns Twilight, black and X instant. Up to one target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. If X there's 5 or more, return a creature card with mana value X less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped? Okay. It's a black X spell that reanimates a creature if it's high enough. A+. Seems really good. I kind of want to put this in my cube, my Pioneer cube, honestly. This card seems pretty cool. Is it good enough for Pioneer? Probably not. Is it good enough for Commander? Absolutely. This is a slam dunk card in Commander. Card's cool. There's a whole cycle of these. I think we're going to have at least a couple more of these coming up. They all seem just cool. All of them are going to be like, if X is 5 or more relevant. So, you know, get used to seeing more cards like this in spoilers. So next, Milira, the Living Cure. Interesting potentially for the story. It doesn't say it's a story spotlight card, because I don't know if creatures really do, but just keep that in mind. 3/3 for green-white. Already great. Let's see what else it has. If you would get one or more poison counters, instead you get one poison counter, and you can't get additional poison counters this turn. Okay. Exile Milira, the Living Cure. Choose another target creature or artifact. When it's put into a graveyard this turn, return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control. So this is like the Serif Ericsotter, I think, from like the Time Spiral block, reminds me. I mean, it's aggressive. It's a 3/3 for green white. You can't get more poison counters. They can't like proliferate the poison counter on you. And it protects a creature. Sign me up. I think this card's really great. For instance, like if you saw my budget green-white list for Pioneer the other day, or yeah, no, it was Modern. I would play this, you know, being able to like, oh, protect my Steel Leaf Champion or something. Like that seems good. Like the cheap creatures that like protect your other creatures have always been good. You know, like there was the dog, I'm forgetting its name all of a sudden, and then there was like Dauntless Bodyguard, and those are very playable cards. This is kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, I think this card's awesome. It's a it's a watch wolf with like more text. So yeah, I'm on board with it. And it's a human, relevant creature type. Graz, Unstoppable Juggernaut. 7/5 for 8 for a legendary artifact creature Juggernaut. Legendary Juggernaut, I believe that is the first one. Juggernauts you control attack each combat fable. Juggernauts you control can be blocked by walls. Sounds very familiar. Other creatures you control have base power 5/3 and are Juggernauts in addition to their other creature types. Wow, okay. So for those who don't know, this is they've been doing Juggernauts for actually since the very first set in Magic. The first Juggernaut was Juggernaut. I think it was a 4 mana. Yeah, it was either 4 or 5 mana. It was a 4/3 I think, where's a 5/4? I don't know. All I know is like a 4/3 that can't be blocked by walls and attacks each turn. They've been printing Juggernauts for years now. Like, there's Juggernaut. I know there's, like, Phyrexian Juggernaut. I think there's, like, Darksteel Juggernaut or something. Like, they've been doing Juggernauts for a while, but they decided to do a Phyrexian... Not a Phyrexian Juggernaut. Just a, you know, a legendary Juggernaut. So, pretty cool. It looks like it's, like... It's got a bunch of, like, tentacles. I don't know if it's, like, consuming something that has them, or it is the tentacles. I'm not really sure. But yeah, this card's just cool. Juggernauts, like, you know, commander players, I'm sure are going to be Juggernaut tribal now. Like, they're going to do it. But it also turns your other creatures into Juggernauts. So, I don't know. You could come up with something fun for this. Like, this card just seems cool. Archfiend of the Dross. 6/6 flyer for black, and 2 Phyrexian Demon. Enters the battle with 4 oil counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from Archfiend of the Dross. Then if it has no oil counters on it, you lose the game. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. So, card's good. Obviously, losing all oil counters, you know, and making you lose the game is not ideal. They've done something with this, like, in the past where you remove a counter, then if there's no counters, you sacrifice it. They've did that with Fading and Vanishing in the past. There's also another card that has Fading that's coming, well, as the oil counter thing, that I compared it to an old card. Yeah, this card seems cool. If you're playing a bunch of Proliferate, yeah, this card's great. You just can't make it die. Like, you can't lose because you played this card. You're going to have to take advantage of it. You know, I mean, I'm sure there's decks where you could be like, oh, play the Dross, and then you're like, wipe the board. And then, well, you know, oh, you take 10, you're dead. You know, you could easily do that with this card. Just be careful. Just be careful if you decide to play this card, I guess. Blade of Shared Souls. Blue and 2 artifact equipment for Miradin. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 rebel creature token, then attach this to it. When Blade of Shared Souls becomes attached to a creature, for as long as Blade of Shared Souls remains attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature control. Okay, so for Miradin is a brand new, it's a brand new mechanic, which seems like it's kind of like Living Weapon, except instead of a 0/0 germ, it's a 2/2 rebel. Yeah, when it becomes attached, for as long as Blade of Souls remains attached to it, you may have that creature become a copy of another target creature you control. Seems good. If you're playing blue and Commander, this is probably just a slam dunk if you're playing creatures. Wow. I like it. Seems really good. Norn's Wellspring. White and 1 artifact. Whenever a creature you control dies, scry 1 and put an oil counter on Norn's Wellspring. Tap 1 and tap, remove 2 oil counters from Norn's Wellspring. Draw a card. Yeah, this card's amazing. If you're playing like any like aristocrat style stuff, you're playing this. Artifact, obviously. There's a ton of like artifact, like token self-sacrifice that can be creatures. You're playing this. This card, essentially, it's like 1 draw, like 1 and tap, draw a card. Once you get past, like, once you play it a turn or 2. Card seems really good. Yeah, I like it. It's white card draw, too, which is always great. Unctus Grand Metatech. That was hard to pronounce. 2/4 for 1 blue. Legendary Phyrexian Vidalcan. Other blue creatures you control have, when this creature becomes tapped, draw a card, then discard a card. Seems good. Other artifact creatures you control get +1/+1. Phyrexian blue, until end of turn, target creature you control becomes a blue artifact creature in addition to its other types. Activate only as a sorcery. This reminds me of, this is probably what this is based off of. I think it was Grand Architect. There was like this creature from like Scars of Miradin, gave like blue creatures 1/1, and then it gave them like some relevant ability. I think that's what this is based off of. But yeah, this card seems really good. Seems like a pretty fun commander. You know, like obviously your blue creatures being able to loot when they attack. Obviously, there's like 1,000 ways, you know, a bunch of blue creatures are like unblockable, so you're just going to draw a ton of cards with this. So, yeah, this card seems really good. I think it's cool. And also, even if you don't have as many artifact creatures, you can just pay 2, making an artifact creature. Excuse me, oh my goodness. These cards are not boring, believe me, I am just tired. So, Unctus, cool card. Honestly, seems like a fun commander. Geth, Thane of Contracts. 3/4 for 1 black legendary creature, Phyrexian zombie. Other creatures you control get -1/-1. Then you get to have 1 black. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. It gains if this creature would leave the battlefield, exile it instead of putting it anywhere else. Activate only as a sorcery. It's great. I mean, yeah, your creatures get -1/-1, but it reanimates your creatures for 3 mana, and it's permanent. Obviously, if they die, they get exiled, but like, yeah, I mean, I could just imagine you play this like as your commander, and you play like a bunch of like self-mill, which black has plenty, and then you're just reanimating just these big monstrosities. Like oh no, you know, my Eldrazi's went from a 12/12 to an 11/11. No, that doesn't matter. No, this card seems really great. It seems very fun, and it's a 3/4 for 3. Card's nuts. Next. Tablet of Completion. 2 mana for an artifact. Tap, put an oil counter on Tablet of Completion. Tap, add 1 colorless. Activate only if the tablet has 2 or more oil counters on it. Tap 1 and tap, draw a card. Activate only if Tablet of Completion has 5 or more oil counters on it. So, it kind of reminds me of a Mind Stone. Obviously, it's long-term can have a lot more value than a Mind Stone. If you're playing Proliferate, this is a slam dunk card. It's a mana rock that also just draws you cards. Yeah, if you're playing Proliferate, slam dunk, you're going to play this card every single time. Seems good. I like it. I wish if the tablet had 1 oil counter on it to make mana, I would consider this for Pioneer, but unfortunately, with 2, it's 2 turns too late. Mercurial Spelldancer, 2/1 for 1 in blue. Phyrexian Rogue, can't be blocked. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. Let's see what it does with that. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may remove 2 oil counters from it. If you do, when you cast your next instant or sorcery spell, start copy that spell. Oh my goodness, you may choose new time. All right, yeah, this card's good. Let's see. It can't be blocked, and when it deals combat damage to a player. Huh. And whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put an oil counter on it. Interesting. Yeah, this card's busted. Yeah. Again, in Pioneer and Modern, this doesn't have any. It's not really going to do much, but like, Commander, this card's busted. And it's 2 mana. So, I mean, it's going to come down really quick. People are like building up their boards to like, they're ramping, and you're just like, here's this 2/1. I'm getting immediate damage, and you can't block it. So, yeah, this card's nuts. That card is very good. Unfortunately, it does not have relevant creature types, which maybe is a good thing if I'm being honest. But yeah, no, this card's very good. Ovika, Enigma Goliath. A 6/6 for 5 blue-red with flying. Ward 3, pay 3 life. So yeah. It's ward. You have to pay 3 mana and 3 life. Yes. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create X 1/1 red Phyrexian goblin creature tokens, where X is the mana value of that spell. They gain haste. Okay. So essentially, this is a card in Commander where if you untap with it, your opponents are probably dead. I think that's a very fair assumption. Has Ward 3, so it's almost hexproof. Like, it's very close. It's on the cusp. Yeah, this is really good. Cards, I mean, it's one of those, like, just, I play it, and if you can't kill it, I win. You know, seems good. I think that card's pretty cool. So, this is one of the doubles cards of ones I wanted to put out. So, Evolved Spinoderm is our main card. Maybe I should put that in the center. But, so, 2 and 2 green, 5/5. Enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. Evolved Spinoderm has trample as long as it has 2 or fewer oil counters on it. Otherwise, it has hexproof. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from it. If there is no oil counters on it, sacrifice it. So, Similar to Blastoderm. Blastoderm's a 5/5 for 2 green. Fading 3, it has 3 fade counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove a fade counter. If you can't, sacrifice it. And it has Shroud, which is can't be the target of spells or abilities. Very similar cards. They're both beasts. You know, 4 mana 5/5s. I just wanted to put this out here just because I immediately when I read this card, I knew it was just like Blastoderm. I used to play a lot of Blastoderm back in the day. Just it's a very cool callback. Obviously, it's better than Blastoderm, but yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. Next, Urbrasks Forge, 2 and a red artifact. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put an oil counter on Urbrasks Forge, not Forg. Then create an X1 red Phyrexian horror creature token with trample and haste, where X is the number of oil counters on Urbrasks Forge. Sacrifice that token at the beginning of the next end step. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like a Goblin Rabble Master, like, you know, the 3 mana goblins that like make a dude, but this just like it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So this definitely can get out of hand pretty fast. How playable is it? I mean, I think red decks, like aggressive red decks, I could see as being a great sideboard card because it like, you know, first it's a 1/1, then it's a 2/1, then a 3, then a 4, and it just keeps getting bigger and it becomes a problem. So I think this card's very cool. Also, it is a story spotlight card, so we'll have to see what that is. You know, what relevance the Urbrasks Forge is. Seems really cool though. I like this card. It's definitely Pioneer playable, I'd say. Next is Kemba, Ka Enduring. Kemba is back. 2/2 for 1 and white. Legendary Cat Cleric. Whenever Kemba, Ka Enduring, or another cat enters the battlefield under your control, attach up to 1 target equipment you control to that creature. Equipped creatures you control get +1/+1. You can tap 3 and 2 white, create a 2/2 white cat creature token. Good value. You never probably have this as the commander, but if you're playing like a cat deck or like, you know, like the old Kemba's works really well with this. Yeah, a lot of great options. Yeah, it seems like a fun card, you know. Obviously, you know, like even if you're just playing in commander, like having good equipment. You know, like, you play your equipment, then you have Kemba. Oh, I'm going to play my Arabo trigger. Yeah, I'll put my huge equipment, or even just solid equipment. I'll put it on it. So, yeah, seems really good. I think this card's awesome. Skelv's Hive. Say, enchantment, white and 1. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 1 life and create a 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. Seems like that's a very common token at this point. As long as your opponent has 3 or more poison counters, creatures you control with Toxic have lifelink. So they've been making cards like this for a while. The very first card they ever made was Bitter Blossom. And then I know that they did like Dreadhorde Invasion. And I think maybe this is the first one since then. But yeah, it's just a 2-mana enchantment. At your upkeep, you lose a life and make a dude. This seems pretty good. It's white. It's a great token. Obviously, like, it's a great token generating color, and it gives your creature a toxic lifelink if they have 3 more poison counters, which, yeah, seems good. I think it's a fun card. How good it is for like standard, not sure, honestly. Pioneer, I don't think it's playable, not in Pioneer, but it's still a pretty cool card. Dragonwing Glider. So it's very unfortunate. Spoiler alert, we haven't seen a dragon yet in the set. But I think this is going to be the dragon of the set. So 3 red for an equipment for Miradin. When this equipment enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 red rebel creature token, then attach it. Equipped creature gets +2/+2 and has flying and haste. So essentially it's a 4/4 with flying and haste for 5, and then equip 3 red. So obviously you can re-equip it, give it the nice boost. Yeah, it's essentially, it's Dragonwing Glider. So yeah, it's essentially a 5 mana 4/4 flying haste. Seems good. I like the card. Phyrexian Arena reprint. Finally, a great reprint for Pioneer. Black and 1 enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you draw a card and lose 1 life. 2 things I want to say about this card. Number 1, Shieldred is busted with this card. I mean, you draw another card. Oh, but I gain 2. Jeez, black is by far the best color in standard, and it's not even close. Second thing, I want to go over the flavor text of this card. For a bittersweet moment, Jace believed he could still save his love. A moment was all Vraska needed. For the glory of Phyrexia, she whispered. So, there were spoilers a while ago. I did not go over those because you can't really read the cards. But Jace has been confirmed to be completed. So, and this is the Story Spotlight card. R.I.P. Jace. Which is unfortunate because this is an awesome card and they had to put something so sad on an awesome card. So, Phyrexian Arena, I'm really excited it's coming into Pioneer, returning to Standard. This card has not been in Standard since probably like 9th edition, I think. Like, I think it's been that long, like 9th or 10th edition. So, very welcome reprint. Glad to see you back, Phyrexian Arena. Conduit of Worlds, 2 green artifact. You may play land cards from your graveyard. Tap, choose target non-land permanent card in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. Yeah, seems great. If you're a Graveyard Matters deck, this is a slam dunk. You mill yourself a bunch. You can get back your lands from your graveyard from all the stuff you've milled. If you have nothing going on in your hand, cast something good from your graveyard. This card is probably just really good in Commander. They must have done like a whole cycle of like good, like monocolor artifacts from this set. Kind of like Urbrasks Forge maybe, and then like this, and like the blue one. Like they're just all good. So yeah, this card's really good. I don't think it's good enough for Pioneer. I mean, like I don't think you wouldn't play this in like the Karn decks. But it seems good. I'm a big fan of it. The Eternal Wanderer. So, I've heard a lot of people are excited about this card. I don't remember what it does. I haven't read it in a minute, but I feel like this card's really good. So, 5 loyalty, 4 white, legendary Planeswalker. Mind you, there's no typing. It's just legendary Planeswalker. So, no more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. Okay. +1, exile up to 1 target artifact or creature. Return that card to the battlefield under its owner's control at the beginning of that player's next end step. Okay, so this blinks your creatures and gets abilities. It blinks your opponent's creatures and they can't block. Okay, cool. 0, create a 2/2 white samurai with double strike. Oh, okay. All right. -4, for each player, choose a creature that player controls. Each player sacrifices all creatures they control not chosen this way. Okay, so let's go over this. So, it protects itself, gets pesky blockers out of the way, and gives your creatures more relevant abilities if they have ETBs, and -4 is a almost board wipe. Yeah, this is giving off, like, Elspeth, Suns Champion vibes. Is it as good as Elspeth Suns Champion? Probably not. But this card seems really good. And it's a rare. It's not even a mythic. It's a rare Planeswalker. This card just seems really good. I mean, like, jeez. And yeah, no more than 1 creature can attack the Eternal Wanderer each combat. So it's not like, if it's getting a bunch of, loyalty, it's not like you can like, oh, send these 3 at the Eternal Wanderer. No, you send 1. So if you're a token deck, you die to this card. You pick your best creature. It's probably not going to be that big. You're not going to be able to kill the Eternal Wanderer. I mean, and it's a 0 makes a 2/2 with double strike. Like, come on. Wow. Yeah, this card just seems really good. Gross. I'm not looking forward to playing against this card. Next, Kethek. Crucible Goliath. 2 black-red for a 4/4 legendary Phyrexian Beast. At the beginning of your end step, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, reveal cards on the top of your library until you reveal a non-legendary creature card with lesser mana value. Put it out of the battlefield, then put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Seems really good. Turn one of your creatures into another creature. You're black-red, so you're playing a bunch of, like, Death Matters stuff. Yeah, I really like this. I'm sure there's got to be a way you could, like, abuse this thing, I'm sure. I can't think of it right now, but it's like, I don't know, there's got to be some way you could abuse this card to, like, immediately hit exactly what you want. I'm sure there's probably cards that, like, there's not a lot of, like, instant reanimator cards, but I'm sure you can make it happen where you're like, oh, sacrifice this big creature. Boom. Boom. I don't know. Whatever. This card just seems really good, though. And it's also a May, so you don't even have to do it. White Suns Twilight. X white sorcery. You gain X life, create X 1/1 colorless Phyrexian Might artifact creature tokens with Toxic 1, and this creature can't block. If X is 5 or more, destroy all other creatures. Yeah. Create X life, make X 1/1s. Seems like definitely Commander... Commander X are going to want this, but Control decks are going to want this. The problem is it's 7. You need 7 mana to wipe the board, which is more than a planar cleansing. I don't think this is playable. I could be wrong. Commander is great. Commander is a slam dunk, but I don't think for Pioneer, I don't think this is quite it. Modern, obviously not even close. But cool card though. Okay, so these are the spheres. I was wondering when these were coming up. So the mycosynth Gardens sphere, tap it for a colorless, tap 1 and tap it to filter. X and tap becomes the copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. Turns into an equipment, turns into another relevant artifact you're playing. Slam dunk if you're playing an artifact deck. And it filters, so if you need that filtering, you have that option. The Seed Core sphere. Tap to add a colorless. Tap, add 1 mana of any color, only for a Phyrexian creature spell. Corrupted, tap. Target 1/1 creature gets +2/+1 until end of turn. Activate only if an opponent has 3 or more poison counters. Seems really good. I know for a minute there was like this, there was this 3-color Phyrexian, like, infect deck going around. I guess you technically could play this in there. The only problem is, like, if you're playing, like, pump spells, you know, you're not going to be able to, like, you can't tap this for your, you know, your like, blossoming defense or whatever. You can't do that, but, like, getting in 1 chip shot with, like, your Glistener Elf or your Blighted Agent, give him counters, and then you can just, it's like better Pendlehaven. It could be good. I don't know. We'll have to see. I don't know if Infect wants this. They also already have a lot of colorless lands. But it seems cool, though. I think both these are great. I think the Spears are probably better than the Locust lands they printed. But, yeah. No. Cool additions. I like it. Red Suns Twilight. X red sorcery. Destroy up to X target artifacts. If X is 5 or more, for each artifact destroyed this way, create a token that's a copy of it. Those tokens gain haste. Exile them at the beginning of the next end step. Yeah, this card's really good. Destroy up to X target artifacts. It's very relevant. If X is 5 or more, for each artifact destroyed, you make a copy of it. Yeah, that's really good. Enough said. The card's busted in Commander. I mean, like, geez, you know, you like blow up all your guys' mana rocks. I get a bunch of mana rocks. Sack those mana rocks, like, that presumably, you know, like, Hedron Archive, like, tap these, sack it to draw. Yeah, no, that seems pretty good. Thrun, Breaker of Silence. So this is the card I've been really excited to talk about. This card is so far my favorite card from the set. So 5/5 for 3 green. Legendary creature, Troll Shaman. This spell can't be countered. I love that text. Trample. Can't be the target of non-green spells your opponents control or abilities from non-green sources your opponents control. As long as it's your turn, Thrun is indestructible. Like, oh my god. So, this card hits like a ton of bricks. Control hates it. They absolutely hate this card. Obviously, you can board wipe it. It's the only way to really get rid of it. Excuse me. Can't be the target of non-green spells or abilities, which means, like, Assassin's Trophy is the only way you can actually target this thing realistically. So essentially, it's can't be countered, trample, hexproof. Wow, that sounds like a familiar card. Has indestructible when it's your turn. So when you're attacking, it's indestructible. It can fight anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It's fighting it. And it's 5 mana. So, great in Obosh. You guys know I love playing Gruul Obosh builds. This is great in the Obosh build. And it's a 5/5, which is relevant for, I'm forgetting its name all of a sudden, Gwenna, the card from Brothers War. This is really, really great with Gwenna. I'm definitely going to play this in the Gwenna deck, which I probably will be sharing with you at some point. Spoiler alert. Which I actually already did, yeah. So this is definitely going to go in there. I'm going to have to update the list. But, yeah, this card's busted. We're moving on. Zenith Chronicler. 3/1 for 2, artifact Phyrexian construct. Whenever a player casts their first multicolored spell each turn, each other player draws a card. Yeah, it's pretty good. Probably not good for Commander for Pioneer Modern, but again, Commander, sure. Depending on your pod, you know, everybody else drawing a card. Like, oh, you cast a Manamorphose? Ha! Thank you. I don't know. It's a 3/1. It's fine. Venerated Rot Priest. 1/2 for 1 green. Toxic 1. Players dealt combat damage by this creature also get a poison counter. Whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, target opponent gets a poison counter. So, assuming you want to play this in Infect, let's say for Modern. Okay, I'm going to go to my turn. So, like, we'll play turn 1 Rot Priest. We don't have to do anything crazy turn 2, but I can just imagine, like, Might of Old Croja, trigger, opponent gets a poison counter, and then you're like, you know, mutagenic growth, trigger, attack, blossoming defense. I don't know. Like, and it's toxic 1, so obviously you're not gonna like get 1,000 points of you know, poison on this. But like, the fact that it's whenever a creature you control becomes a target of a spell, you can even play this like with Glistener Elf. You can go turn 1 Glistener Elf, turn 2 play this, pump the bejesus out of the Glistener Elf, give them a bunch of 4 poison counters, hit you for 6. Like, that card seems good. Will like Modern Infect play it? I don't know. I'm not an expert on Infect, but this seems like a card that can be very easily abused. Especially since Commander, like, you only need 10 poison counters to kill him. So, you can come up with something nasty. I mean, you can. You definitely can. So, I don't know. This card seems like a feel-bad card for sure. Argenta Masticore. 5/5 for 5 with first strike, protection from multicolored. At the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice Argenta Masticore unless you discard a card. When you discard a card this way, destroy target non-land permanent and opponent controls with mana value less than or equal to the mana value of the discarded card. So, for those who don't know, they've been making Masticores for years now. They all make you discard cards, but this is one of the, like, they've been making Masticores for a while. The ones of the past, like, were, like, 4/4 for 4, and with, like, barely any upside. The last couple have actually had some. So, like, yes, you have to discard a card, otherwise it's sacrificed. But at least you're getting relevant abilities when you have to discard that card. It's not just, to keep this around, you have to discard a card and that's it. At least this is, like, you can blow something up. First strike's nice. Pro multicolors, nah, I don't know. Probably not that great. I mean, it's good draft. I play this card in draft. Yeah, card seems cool. I like Masticore secretly. Fortunately, not a lot of them are very good, but hey, we got another one. Myglows? I don't know. Maze Crusher. 4/4 for 1 green-red. Legendary creature, Francium Beast. Enters the battle with 5 oil counters on it. Let's see what they do. Tap 1, remove an oil counter from it. It gains Vigilance and Menace until end of turn. Tap 2, remove 2 oil counters from it. It gets +2/+2. Remove... Oh my god. I'm so sorry. I'm very sorry. Oh, man. This card is not boring either. 3, remove 3 oil counters from it. Destroy an artifact or enchantment. So, I've been talking about for a while where Gruul specifically does not have a lot of good 3-drops. Like, Gruul, like, red-green. Like, Klothys is the best one. But past that, like, it's Gruul Spellbreaker, which is kind of meh, and then it's, like, I don't know, like, some weird Tribute Centaurs. Like, it's, like, Gruul has never had a really, really good, like, other than Klothys. Like, obviously, Klothys is great. I don't need comments. Oh, Klothys is great. But it's nice that they finally printed a good, like, another good Gruul card at 3 mana, which is great. So, it seems good. You know, it's a 4/4 for 3. You know, even just, like, you untap. Tap 1, Vigilance and Menace 4. Like, that's just at the very least good. You can pump it. You can destroy an artifact or enchantment. I like this card. I really do. Pioneer playable? Absolutely. Modern playable? Probably not, but hey, it's more food to pitch to Endurance and Fury. For like I could see like weird Ponza lists probably trying this card, like a list I would build. But no, this card's very cool. I'm really excited to see it. I believe that this is our last card. I think so, but we'll check. Actually, we'll just check now. No, it's our second to last card. Okay, so Green Suns Twilight. X in green sorcery. Remember, the other ones were instants. This is a sorcery. Why are you always hating on green? Green doesn't get anything good now. I'm clearly kidding. Sorcery. Reveal the top X +1 cards in your library. Choose a creature card and or land card from among them. Put those cards in your hand. Put those cards in your hand and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If X has 5 or more, instead put the chosen cards onto the battlefield or into your hand. So it kind of reminds me of Green Sun Zenith, but it's not quite a Green Sun Zenith. One thing I'm very interested about this card is of course, you know, I love to play Obosh builds. This fits in Obosh, and it's +1. So like worst case scenario, like let's say you don't hit somehow don't get your turn 1 elf in your hand. Like maybe you can 1 green, like maybe flip a land or a creature to draw, 1 green, draw a card. Seems cool. If you have a boatload of mana, you're just like bang. Like, even like playing this for like X = 4. You're like, all right, flip 4. Like, all right, I'll take Stomping Ground, Glorybringer, untap, have the mana for it. Like, I don't know. Like, this card seems interesting. Obviously, Commander is really good in Commander. I feel like I've said that 1,000 times. But yeah, no, this card's cool. It's not the best of the Twilights, or the Twilights, but it's good. Also, it's the buy box promo. I'm going to be buying a box. So our last card. So this one, I think most people have seen, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit just because I think this is a very, very cool card. So, Karumonix, the Rat King. 3/3 for 1 black. Legendary creature, Phyrexian Rat. Toxic 1. Not going to say what that does again. I've said it 1,000 times. Other rats have Toxic 1. When it enters the battlefield, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal any number of rats and put them in your hand. Put the rest on the bottom. Okay, so let's go over this. Okay, so it's a legendary rat, cool for commander. Makes your other rats gain Toxic 1. If you're playing rats, you're going wide. And it has a Lead the Stampede, 4 rats attached to it. Sign me up. This card is very cool. Honestly, is it Pioneer? I would almost go as far as to say that, like, the rat, like, I've seen rat tribal decks in Pioneer. I've seen, like, people doing, like, the, not the Relentless Rats, but the Rat Colony shenanigans. I've seen people do it with pack rats. If you want to play this card, yeah, you could play, like, 2 of these, especially since rats, like, doesn't have a good 3-drop other than, like, Relentless Rats. So, yeah, I think this card's really cool. I think it's just very unique. They've never made a card like this, especially for rats. So, yeah, I really like this card. I think it's very cool. So, alrighty, this has been a very long video. This is every card that I have to go over with you today. I'd like to thank everybody for joining me today. Let me know in the comments, what is the favorite card that we went over today? Is it the lands? Is it something for commanders? Is it something for Pioneer? Let me know. Let me know what you're going to play it in, what you're excited, what are you least excited about? Is it the Wandering Emperor? It probably, well, not the Wandering Emperor, but it probably should be. So, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. I'll see you in the next video.